So I've managed to get my hands on a set of 4 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles figures from Playmates, which is a re-release of the 1990 set of 4 figs with a hinged storage shell, so you can fit a lot of their weapons into the back. And I'm going to take a look at all 4 now. So let's get into it. Hi all, Chris here, the Geek Figure Fan. And yes, as I say before, today we're going to take a look at a set of 4 Playmates Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles figures, which is like a retro re-release of the 1990 set with the storage shells built into the back. So these are still the classic look based on the Wave 1 look that Playmates released originally for the 4 Ninja Turtles, but now with this added hinge storage shell in the back as well. And I love these figures. They bring back a lot of memories from when I was a kid. I had a variety of Ninja Turtles figures. So as well as collecting the real Ghostbusters when I was young, I was also really into these figures as well. But I don't remember collecting the storage shell figures when I was young. I definitely had the original Waves, and I had a lot of the mutations as well. And then a lot of the weirder turtles that were dressed as astronauts and whatnot. But I definitely don't remember owning any of the storage shells turtles. So I'm really looking forward to getting sort of stuck into these and seeing whether they feel particularly playable, whether this shell is functional, whether it's useful, and just what I think of the paint jobs and stuff. So, I mean, let's get stuck into it straight away with a look at the artwork on these boxes. So we've got Raph in hand here. So it says the turtle teen with a crafty compartment. And I mean, just looking at the artwork on the front, first of all, I think it looks incredible. Clearly hand-drawn artwork on the front. So colourful, and this blister pack just looks beautiful. You know, if you didn't want to take them out of box, you know, why wouldn't you want to just keep them like this? I think they look fantastic. But yeah, really, really good. I love the look of that. While I'm looking at this, I'll just say as well, I found these in my local Aldi, in like the shiny aisle section, as I call it, and these were like £8 a figure. Not expensive. You know, if you've got a local Aldi close to you, go and have a look, see if there's still some there. But the back of the box as well, I always love this artwork that's been replicated from the original, which shows the origin story of the Turtles, and then we have that really cool little bio of Raphael that you can cut out and keep in the bottom left-hand corner, and then a rendering showing the 4 figures within the wave. But yeah, this Raphael looks fantastic. I can't wait to get him out. So I think there's nothing left to do but start breaking these blister packs open. Got my scissors ready, and we'll get stuck in. So as I've got Raphael's box, I think it's only fair that we start with Raphael first. And I mean, straight away, I love the look of this figure. I think that wild, aggressive face that they've put on Raph really really matches that personality, but also is just so emotive. It just looks really cool. I like the light, sort of bright light lime green they've gone for with this figure. It's a black shell that they've put on him as well for the storage shell, but you can see that opens up really easily, and there's a decent amount of space in the back as well. I love the change to having the coloured belt on this figure as well. I don't think it's something that they kept up with in all of the figures, but it really helps the figure pop. You know, red really stands out against the green. The articulation on this figure is very basic, 7 points of articulation, and I'll be showing it on all of the figures, but so you'll be able to see it in great detail. But there is a movement in the elbow as well as the standard head and shoulder and hips leg movement as well. But that face up close, very cool. I think the only negative on this figure, and it's pretty much this figure alone, is the paint on some of the gums, you know, in and around the teeth, and I imagine it's incredibly difficult to paint in that area. But yeah, that's the only part that kind of lets this one down. Otherwise, the paint application on all of them is pretty immaculate, really. I love the lines. Look at the creases on his face, which really make his face even more emotive. You know, for such a small figure, you know, such a standard Playmates figure, I think the level of detail on these was always pretty impressive. But yeah, it really brings me back to my childhood seeing this. Very pleased with that. Love Raphael. But let's pop him down and let's take a quick look at the weapons that come with all of these figures, because they are all very different. So with Raphael, we've got to start off with what looks like this mace. And oh, how cool is that? It's like a puffer fish on the top of his mace. Can you see that? That's fantastic. Look at the level of detail on that. And that's kind of a theme with all of these weapons. A lot of aquatics, very organic look to all of these weapons. And I dig that. I think that's great. We've got like a pizza blade here, and you'll see that with all 4 of the figures. And Raphael seems to have like a shell boomerang type weapon, which to me just looks like a croissant. Clearly gets hungry on the job. And then we've got like an axe, which looks a bit like a stingray wrapped around a piece of wood. Either way, looks really cool. I don't know how functional that would be. And we have 2 throwing stars with each of the 4 figures. So there we go, just pretty standard. You'll have seen them in the Wave 1 figures as well. And Raph wouldn't be complete without his 2 size. And they look identical, I believe, to the Wave 1 figures for Playmates. So the original 4, I don't think there's been a change to the design on those size. Not that you'd expect there to be. So let's get this storage shell open and let's try and fit everything in. Now, spoiler alert, Raph was actually the only figure that I couldn't fit everything in. Now, I started off by trying to fit the smaller bits in, and I will just take a moment to say, you see that little lug on the inside of the shell? The throwing stars actually push into that. You know, they will rattle around if you don't put them in there. So I like that they've done that. I can imagine very easily, especially with kids playing with these toys, that opening up that shell, if the throwing stars aren't secured, they will just fall out and you'll never see them again. But everything other than that mace fits in. But I do make a crucial mistake here. With all of these figures, putting that pizza blade in first is definitely the way to go, because it can just sit against the back of that little space. And then everything else fits in nicely after that, other than the mace. Now, there is a space on the back of the shell for a weapon to sort of slot into, and the mace kind of does, but you will have to force it in a little bit, and it just looks weird. So I've removed that. I don't think I particularly want that. And the size, they have their own space on the front of the belt, so let's slot both of the size in there. Now, if you are familiar with these Ninja Turtles figures, any of the Playmates original figures, you'll know that putting the size in the belt severely restricts Raphael's arm movement. So just make sure that you've got his arms posed the way that you want them before you start pushing those size into the belt. But either way, I love this figure. I think the Raphael is a great place to start. I'm really pleased with it. So let's put him back on there and let's move on to the next one. So next we're going to take a look at Leo, the leader of the pack. And first of all, I really always love this darker colour that Playmates put on Leo and Donnie. I think it just changes it up a little bit, changes the complexion of the figures, makes them look less identical. But no, I'm really impressed with that. And a slightly different colour of the shell there as well. So instead of being a black, this is kind of a dark grey. I don't know how well it comes across on the picture. But yeah, I mean, I love this darker skin tone, this kind of olive green skin tone that's being used, a very army green. But yeah, same articulation in the head movement and the arms and the legs. Again, that blue belt really pops, you know, as opposed to just having that same colour on all 4 turtles as there was in the Wave 1 Playmates figures. I do like this look. It's a classic look, having that nose across the mouth and having that grimace on both sides of the mouth there. And again, all of the lines that are there on the face, really emotive, really impressed with this. So yeah, very happy with that Leo figure. Let's just pop him down here and let's have a look at his weapons. A couple of his are very cool, I have to say. Let's have a look at these first. Leo's got what looks like a set of 2 brass knuckles, or the equivalent of brass knuckles. A brutal weapon for Leo, I love it. And then let's get the obligatory throwing stars out of the way. Yeah, they're there. And the same with the pizza blade. Not sure about that functionality, but there you go. And then one of the coolest weapons in any of the figures. It's like an armadillo that's being used as a club. What a crazy idea. I love that Leo's possibly like a part-time taxidermist and he's making his own weapons out of dead animals that he's finding in the sewer. That's really morbid, but I love it. And then Leo wouldn't be complete without his dual samurai swords as well there. Again, I think they're probably identical to how they were in the Wave 1 figures. But yeah, fantastic. Love them. Can't wait to put them on his back because there are 2 holders on the back of his shell as well for those, as you see there. So let's open up the storage shell and get these in. And you see at first I've clearly made the same mistake that I made previously, which was not putting in that pizza blade first. But we will learn from our mistakes. Let's get those out and let's get that pizza blade in. And let's just shoot forward a little bit. This was the first one that I opened where all of the weapons fitted in one go. Nice and easily, actually. Really impressed with that. So let's get his swords on his back as well, because that obviously looks fantastic when they're in. I love the silhouette that gives Leo. It's so iconic. But yeah, I absolutely love that. He was my favourite turtle as a kid. Let me know in the comments who your favourite Ninja Turtle is. At the moment, my favourite is Mikey, and has been for quite a while now. He's the kind of figure where like that Last Ronin comic really gives you a different appreciation for Michelangelo. But Leo as a kid was my favourite, so very pleased with that. Very, very pleased. Let's put Leo aside and let's move on to my favourite turtle, Michelangelo. And another different paint job. Fantastic. It's another brighter green, but it's more of a muted pastel colour than Raphael gets. But yeah, still a fantastic green on him. And the orange doesn't pop quite as well as the other colours on the front, because the orange does get lost a little bit in his belly shell, part. The colours are a little bit similar. But regardless, the rest of it, the orange pops fantastically. Same articulation as all of the other figures. As we said, 7-point articulation, movement in those elbows, as well as the tops of the legs, the shoulders, and the head. And I have to say, I love this face sculpt as well. Very similar to Leo, with the grimace on both sides. A little bit more gums showing on the left, but I love that look. I love the lining on the back. I just think the detail on these Playmates figures is so impressive. For such small figures, I think they're fantastic. Playmates really got it right first time with these Ninja Turtles looks. Oh, Mikey's taking a tumble. He's such a party dude. Let's get him back up there. And let's have a quick look at these weapons. Let's get the boring pizza blade out of the way. Yeah, it's exactly the same. And I don't know why, but Michelangelo seems to have what looks like a flashlight made out of shells. So, yeah, maybe you could bonk someone on the head with that. I don't know, but he can just definitely see in the dark. And this one confuses me, so let me know what you think this is. But it looks like a couple of handlebars and then a piece of cord attached to the bottom. So I'm not really sure how he fights with that, but perhaps he whips it around with the cord. I don't know. The obligatory throwing stars. Let's get them out of the way. Nobody cares about them anymore. We get them with all of them. And then Michelangelo's nunchucks as well. And maybe someone in the comments can tell me why, but his 2 nunchucks are 2 different sizes. So is that something that's happened across all of the turtles? As you can see in my hand there, one nunchuck is about 3 or 4 mil longer than the other one, and I'm not really sure why that is. But let's skip through the fitting of everything into the storage shell. They all fit absolutely fine. Now, with the nunchucks, he's only got 3 places on his back to fit them. You can't bend both nunchucks over, and I do kind of fight it. It's very tight to get the nunchucks in there. But I do manage to get one slightly bent over into both holes, and then the other one just sort of sticking out. I have to say, it doesn't look great, so I do give up and put them in his hands. But I have no problem with him holding them like that. I think it looks good. So yeah, really pleased with Michelangelo. Probably not the best of the 4 on here, but I'm still really pleased with him. I think he looks great. And let's get on to the last one, Donatello. Let's have a look at Donnie, see what he looks like. So Donnie is another figure with a slightly darker skin tone, but that darker olive look to him. And I think with the dark mauve purple accenting that is on Donatello, it works really well, and it does create like a darker looking figure. So I'm very impressed with that. Again, paint application on this figure is immaculate. The work on the gums on this figure looks brilliant. Decent head movement, same articulation on here. I'm not going to bore you with it. But yeah, very, very pleased with this Donatello figure. And I love that it's not all shiny. There's definitely kind of a matte look to that front part of the shell, that belly section, that gives a nice contrast to the more of the shine of the skin that's on these figures. So very pleased with that. And let's get stuck into these weapons. And let's get the ninja stars out of the way first. There they are, exactly the same as on the other figures. It's a very cool looking knife here, like someone has forced a knife through a fish head. I think it's a really great looking accessory. I'm not sure how functional that is, but yeah, I love that. I think that's great. And you can see the little tail of the fish sticking out at the bottom. And this is one of the coolest little accessories that comes with it. It is an axe that I can only assume has been fashioned out of the fin of like a shark or a large fish. Really clever. I think that looks fantastic. So pleased with that. Standard pizza blade on there as well. And his last additional accessory is this slingshot that looks like it's made out of some old piping. So it's clearly not a functional accessory there. It's just for show, but yeah, it looks pretty cool. And then Donnie's classic bow staff. You know, you wouldn't expect anything different. This looks great, slight bend to it, but that'll straighten up with a little bit of warmth. And then we'll get all the accessories into Donatello's storage shell, and without spoiling, there are no issues getting these in as well. Literally, it was just Raphael's mace that spoiled that storage shell capability. Very, very pleased with how Donnie's fits. And let's just pop the bow staff into the back here. And again, creates a fantastic silhouette, very much like Leo. You know exactly who it is when you see that bow staff peering over the shoulder of Donnie. And yeah, really, really so pleased with all four of these. I don't know what else I can say. I think for the price, the quality of these figures is very impressive. You know, for a smaller figure, for a re-release. I know that that's kind of what you're expecting, but very close to the 1990s Playmates figures. They clearly know what they're doing with these Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles figs. So yeah, absolutely chuffed to bits with these. Really, really pleased, and I can't wait to add them into my cabinets, to my collection of other figures. And what I'll say is we've also got the 4 NECA movie Ninja Turtles on their way. So a review of those will be coming in the next couple of weeks as well. So I'm really looking forward. Perhaps we can get a comparison going on them. But yeah, overall, so impressed. No faults really, other than a couple of little paint application issues on Raphael. I think these just look fantastic, and you know, why wouldn't you want them for the price that they are available at the moment? I think I'm going to be looking to get more Ninja Turtles figures now. Very much interested in the NECA monster range, but please let me know in the comments if there are any particular Ninja Turtles figures you'd like me to take a look at. And I'd actually love to get stuck into a new range that perhaps I have no previous experience of. So also let me know what you would like me to look at next. If there's a range I haven't touched upon that you think I'd like, please let me know. I'd love to give it a try. Please also like the video if you've enjoyed it, and consider subscribing to my channel as well for more reviews and news. I'm trying still to get at least one figure review up a week. We've still got more Back to the Future NECA figures, more Ghostbusters, more Ninja Turtles, loads more Star Wars Black Series to get stuck into. I've also got a couple of pre-orders for the Marvel Legends coming, so really excited for all of those. And subscribing will obviously let you know when I upload all of those reviews. But if the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles interest you, why not take a look at this hilarious knockoff review that I did a couple of months ago, where I ordered a set of 6 Ninja Turtles figures off Temu. See what you think. Thanks ever so much for joining me today. I hope you all take care. Bye bye.